Hello Harmony 3, I'm going to do a little video about the Funky Diminished project that's coming up for homework. If you go down to the mini projects section of the OL, you'll find a lot of files on the Funky Diminished project. You'll find a finale template that you can use. You'll find chord scales, a key with key signatures and without, and you'll find a sample project down here. Okay, if you this might help, the Funky Diminished chord scales, answer key with key signatures. So this would be, you can look up this file. Okay, and I'm going to just scroll over it slowly in case you can't find the file. You can always just copy the information from here. I basically want you to use the proper chord scales to fill out this, to create your melody, so you want to check this file to make sure you're doing it correctly. Sorry about the email here. Notice that with diminished chord scales, the avoid notes are not given a number. So on your Funky Diminished project, you can put A for avoid under those, so that I know that you know it's an avoid. Okay, but the other scales will of course have S4, etc. All right, so you are going to download the finale template for this. Most of you, and you'll do this in finale. So where are we here? Here is our finale template. Again, in the mini project section. Download that, and it will go to your downloads. I'm going to open it up. And this is what it looks like. You are going to write a melody with exactly this rhythm, but obviously not all F sharps. It will be an interesting melody. Okay? And one of the things that you might want to do is just copy the whole thing by using the arrow tool. Copy the whole thing and drag it down here. I'm going to just undo that for a second. In case you do this kind of cockeyed and you put it in the wrong place, obviously the rhythm is going to look terrible. It's not going to be correct. So you want to make sure when you copy exactly into the right spot and the rhythm looks exactly the same as the melodic rhythm for the original. Okay. Now, one of the things that's going to be very important is to your work here is to put the correct types of notes on the correct beats. For example, if you have a, I'm going to use the lyrics tool here, the little pen with the quill, and I'm going to just practice up here. If you have a note that's long, okay, you want to probably put a chord tone on there, right? And if you have a note that's followed by a big rest, you probably want to put a chord tone as well. So notice these would probably be chord tones here. They could be tensions, so I'm going to just put, you know, chord tone or a tension, perhaps, on some of these, you know. It would be up to you. An available tension is always available, so you could certainly use it on these long notes, these tensions. These long notes could be tensions, but, you know, they could also be chord tones. So, likewise, if you have something on a very strong, a somewhat strong beat here, you probably want to put a chord tone as well, right? This is the beat 3 of the measure. This is beat 4 of the measure. Since we've got a 16th note rhythm, you know, these would probably be chord tones. Where could you put your avoid notes? Well, you could put them on the real offbeats. This is 3E and, so 3E, it's a very weak beat, right? And this is also a weak beat. So these could be avoid notes. Not that they have to. They could be chord tones as well. But the ones that are, you know, more important to be chord tones are the ones that are on the strong beat. So I'm going to put avoid here. And this could also be a chord tone or a tension, right? This is avoid. This could also be a chord tone or a tension, depending on what how your melody works out. So an avoid, a chord tone, or a tension. What about this one? This could be an avoid, a chord tone, or a tension as well. This one is probably going to be a chord tone or maybe a tension. And this one could be an avoid note, a chord tone, or a tension. Okay? So just make sure you're using a little bit of intuition and also your academic knowledge of chord scales and strong beats to determine where you're going to put the notes. Okay? Then I recommend, you know, of course, that you play it on your instrument and see. Let's see. See what it sounds like. It's set up to use a saxophone sound. So it'd be great if you could play your D sharp diminished 7 and then go. And kind of play and hear what it sounds like. Obviously, it shouldn't be a fully academic exercise, but you can also kind of use your, like I said, your academic knowledge, and you can create some things that will probably sound good. So I'm going to click the simple entry tool and the note mover tool, and then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to choose some notes. Okay, so hopefully you've got the chord scales sheet in your hand as you're doing this, and you can. And you know what notes would be appropriate for the chord scale. So for example, you could start with A, D, because these would be 2 chord tones in the key of, on the chord scale of D, D major. Okay, so I'm gonna go to just for now, I'm gonna remind you that you can go to the lyrics tool and you can say this is a fifth and this is a root of the D chord, right? Okay, so now back to my simple entry tool and my note mover. And I'm going to click on this note, and I can move this one up or down, depending. So let me just start on F sharp. That's a good chord tone on a D sharp diminished 7, right? And now this one we said is probably on a stronger beat, so this should also be a chord tone. So what about, I'm going to put a C natural here because that is part of the chord. So D sharp, F sharp, A, C. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. So, what did I say I was going to do here? A, C natural. Okay, and then let's make a scale here because we said we put a chord tone here and maybe over here. So this would make a good scale if we go all the way down. And so what we've got here is a chord tone, C natural, an A, that's also a chord tone, and an F sharp, that's going to be a chord tone of this D sharp 7, so D sharp diminished 7, and then I'm going to kind of noodle around here and then come back to F sharp here. So notice I'm using an avoid note here on the on a very weak rhythmic stress, an avoid note here on a very weak rhythmic stress. This is a tension, but it's a tension flat 13, and it's connecting 2 chord tones. So this looks like it might be a nice melody to use here. So it sounds like. And now we're into our F sharps here, so we'll have to, change something. So I think what I'm going to do is go up to G, and then I'll go up to E. Now, the reason I'm doing, or maybe I could go to D actually again. So what I'm trying to do is mimic this motive here that we had by going up, and this one's going to go up as well, but it will fit into the chord of E minor 7. And then we might want to, from here on, we might want to try kind of like a sequence thing where this is D to D sharp, this is E to E sharp, it's spelled as F, but so maybe this is going up. So why don't we take this and move it up a step to agree with this E sharp. So let's take, so G sharp, we can do a G sharp here because that's going to be a chord tone. And then we'll leap up to D, which will be the corresponding pitch for this C sharp, D, C sharp. That is going to be our flat 13. There's our, that's a chord tone. And here's another avoid note. And we can go up to a G sharp here. Okay, so what we've got here is now we've got to identify these melody notes with a number. So on a D sharp diminished 7, this is a flat 3. And this would be a diminished 7. This would be a flat 13. Again, I'm looking at my chord scale. I'm not, but I should be looking at my chord scale chart to make sure this is a this is going to be an avoid note. Okay, And this is going to be our flat 3. And this is an avoid note, so I'm going to put A. This is our flat 5. And this is our flat 3. Okay, now this is a new chord. So E minor 7, this will be our flat 3. This will be our flat 7. And this will be our flat 3 of this chord. And it leaps up to the diminished 7. Again, I know it's probably too fast for you guys at this point, but just check out the chord scales page, and that will make sense. This is going to be a flat 5. This is going to be an avoid. Here is a flat 3. Here's an avoid again. Here's a flat 5. And here is the flat 3 again. Okay, so let's see how this sounds now. And then, okay, and just make sure you know these are ties. So you make sure you have to have the same note for both of these for it to sound right. So this is the same note. So if that's an A, this will be an A as well. If that's an F sharp, this will be an F sharp as well. So make sure you're observing the ties, okay? And make sure you're using all the proper notes of the chord scales. So hopefully this will get you started on your Funky Diminished project. And good luck. I'll see you in class, and looking forward to seeing them.